Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar tonight. With me, I have Maria Rozlikova. Maria, thank you so much for joining, and we're excited to hear the exciting news about what the new app is here that you're going to show us.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about this new addition to Medit apps family, which is called Medit Temporaries, which is super exciting because this is the first kind of CAD program that Medit has put out. And so what we're going to do today is going to walk you through all the new features and explain to you what you can actually do in this app, and and probably what we're going to do after its launch, and all of that.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a big step for Medit and you as part of the development team there. So we're super excited to see it. I really quickly wanted to remind everybody that this webinar is being recorded, as always. The webinars will be available after, about 24 hours after we go live. And we can take questions. So if anyone has questions, they can just enter their questions into the chat box, and I'll make sure we get them asked to Maria. That being said, my name is Emily Bradley, for those of you who haven't tuned into any of our past webinars, and I'm part of the Medit education, training, and support team. So Maria, without further ado, I'm going to hand the time over to you and let you get started.
Thank you. So as usual, when we talk about our Medit apps, you should know, first of all, where to find them. So they're always in the app box right here. When there's a new update and there's a new app, you will see that there's a small red dot appearing next to the icon. So then you know that something happened. So here it is, Medit Temporaries, right here. So I already have it installed. So let's go and see what it looks like and how you can run it. So as usual with all of our apps, they're run from a specific case that you have in your case box. So here I have my case for tube number 26. And first of all, in order to run Medit Temporaries, one thing you should know is that there always should be a crown registered in your Medit link form. So if there are several crowns registered, or if there is anything else registered in the form, the program might not be launched. So what we recommend, if you have a case where there is a lot of crowns registered, we recommend you just clone the case, create a new form where there's only one crown, the one that you're going to be working on, and then just proceed with launching the app. So here I am, I have my tooth marked. Here I have my data. So if you look at the file viewer, you will see that I have my pre-operation data, and I have my prepared data, and also I have a margin line for my prepared tooth. So Medit Temporaries consists of two modules. One module is temporary module, which uses pre-operation data and prepared data and margin line to create a temporary crown. Another module is what we call eggshell module. This is something that creates eggshell type crowns using just pre-operation data. So in any case, you need pre-operation data. And just a reminder to everybody that if you want to get your pre-operation data scanned in Medit Scan for Clinics, you will have to use one of those options for maxillary or mandible. And when you click on this icon in Medit Scan for Clinics, you will see that pre-op stage is being activated, where you can scan your pre-operation data. And then you go and after the preparation, you scan the prepared data. So this is what we use. For temporary crown, if you create a margin line and scan for clinics, that's actually really good because it will save you a lot of time making the crown. So that is what we recommend. But yeah, even if you don't have a margin line, you can totally create it in Medit Temporaries. So let's just see what it looks like. Here's my app. And let's first start with the eggshell module. So I'm going to use my pre-operation data. If you have antagonist, you can put it here, and you can utilize a number of functions that are actually related to the occlusal adaptation. But in this case, I don't have it, so it's totally fine if you don't have an antagonist. So here I am. The program consists of two modes. First one is called quick mode, and the second one is called design mode. So In any other Medit app, you will see there are stages in icons on the top of the screen. But in this case, our philosophy behind this app is to make sure that you can actually create a crown in 2 or 3 clicks. So that's why we try to minimize the user interface as well, so you don't have to actually put your attention to any other thing rather than the crown that you're making.
I love how
Another,
simplified you guys have made this, and it's how simple it is on the screen. You've taken the noise out a little bit, so it makes the process look extremely easy.
yes, that was our the whole idea behind it. So we were thinking that if there's anybody who kept thinking about starting design, but they were too afraid or they thought it would be too complicated. So I think this is a great first step because everything that can be automized is automized in our app. And even if you want to manually adjust anything, you can do it. But this quick mode allows you to create a crown automatically with literally just a few clicks. So let me show you. Here, also, I think a good addition to our user interface and user experience is that you can see that there are on-screen instructions of what you should actually be doing. So here, my program tells me to select 226. Automatically, once you enter quick mode, once you launch the application, you can just click on a tooth and it will be all selected automatically. Also
So
here,
Maria, really quickly, quick question. Are there times when the whole tooth won't be selected, so you can actually kind of go in and select using the brush tools that I see there on the screen, correct?
yeah, there will be some cases. For example, when I work with my own scan data, my teeth have a weird shape, to be honest. So uh, they have much more grooves and curves than I saw.
Anatomy is good on real teeth, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, so yeah, to be honest, there are times when I cannot select my tooth with a single click, but if it doesn't work, you can drag it like this.
Perfect.
So
So you can just kind of
yeah,
select as you want to with the brush or whatever. Generally, kind of the same kind of tool that Medit offers when you're selecting most things.
yeah. So if you want to add some more details, you can always use brush. But yeah, in most cases, you will have to just go with the single click, and it will all be fine.
Perfect.
Here we have something that is called quick settings. And what it is actually the tools that help to adjust the shape of the crown to antagonists and to the adjacent teeth so that you don't really have to do any design yourself. So here, because I don't have occlusion data, I cannot fit it to antagonists, but usually when you have this toggle on, it would mean that the overlapping areas between the crown and the antagonist will be cut out. So when we create temporary, we want a low occlusion, so that is just an option that you can use to automatically create lower occlusion. And fit to adjacents, this toggle, it will expand the crown a little bit so that there are no spaces between the crown and adjacent teeth. So there is no, so that the food doesn't come in between there and there's no
So
inflammation.
does it basically just bring the contacts on that
Yeah,
tooth into
exactly.
contact with the adjacent teeth there? Okay.
Yeah. And another option that we have here in the actual module is margin width. So you can choose between a very thin margin around 0.2 millimeters and a thick margin of 0.5 millimeters. So we recommend keeping those two toggles on at all times because that would really minimize the amount of work that you have to do. And this one really sometimes it would depend on the case, sometimes it would depend on the preparation tool that you use. But yeah, just check a few times before you actually make a crown to see what it looks like. And so now I'm going to choose the thin margin, and then I can go back and show you what a thick margin would look like. So yep, right now here in the stage, I clicked on my tooth, I press next, and there is a margin line that is automatically created. So I can adjust all the points here, so I can create a good margin. Usually, in most cases, it will be created automatically, right? And also it will be expanded just a little bit. So here on the bottom side of the screen, you have this shrink expand slider. So we got some feedback during our beta testing that many practitioners would like to have margin line for that their actual crowns a little bit larger. So that's what we did. So I'm just gonna adjust it slightly. And if I feel like everything's good, I press next. And here I have my actual crown. So
Very nice. That was quick.
yeah, right. And so now let me go back and show you what a crown with a thick margin might look like. I selected this one here.
So basically at any point you can go back and make and change what you've just done. So if you're not happy
Exactly.
with an outcome, you can go back into the program and make the change.
Yes. So this is a thick margin. So thin margin would be 50% thinner than this
Narrower,
one.
thinner.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. And here on the left side, you have data tree. So this is what you need to be adjusting in order to check the crown. So here, this is the outer surface. And if you make it a little bit more transparent, you will see how your inner surface and outer surface are related. And here we have grid view. So you can actually take a look and see the how thick your crown is. So when we make eggshell crowns in Medit Temporaries, when they're being done automatically in the quick mode, they usually never exceed 1.0 millimeters. So you can see it. So yeah, here it goes up to 1 millimeter, but it's around a 1.4, 1.5. And yeah, so you can anticipate how thick it will be, how thin it will be, so that, yeah, you know the amount of preparation that you should be doing, because obviously this is a crown that you make before preparation. And now that if I want to design it a bit more, I can go and design it. If I want to save it right away to MeditLink, if I'm satisfied with my work, I can do it right here. So this button will save it to MeditLink, and this one will take you to the design mode. And before I go to design mode, let me show you our settings. So settings is a very big part of Medit Temporaries, because this is exactly the thing that allows us to create a crown in 2 clicks, because we use all of these preset parameters. So for example, you see here that minimum thickness right now is set at 0.3 millimeters, and the average thickness is 0.5 millimeters. And you can adjust all of these parameters. So usually these are the kind of parameters that you would set once and then use them based on your preference, based on your 3D printer or your milling machine. So that's why we decided to take them out of the main user interface. Here is the smoothing option for the inner surface, and what we decided to do with it. So we recommend having a smoother inner surface, especially when it comes to eggshell. Eggshell is a little bit curvy because the inner surface duplicates the outer surface. So smoother inner surface will optimize this crown for milling. And this one will kind of optimize it for 3D printing. But to be honest with you, we tested all of them, same crown, same STL files with 3D printers and milling machines. Actually, both of them turned out fine, even without smoothing. So it really depends on your settings. So we recommend, of course, running some tests before creating an actual crown for the patient. So let me go ahead to design mode. So here we are. This is design mode, and here, most importantly, there are those sculpting tools that we introduced in Medit Compare webinar when we found out that I cannot redesign. So
I wouldn't say that. I think that your skills are really starting to come through as a designer. Maybe you've missed
oh,
your
thank
calling
you.
in life.
Yeah, I know how to design number 11 now, but that's pretty much it. But anyway, those are 4 tools that you know from Medit Compare. These are add, remove, smooth, and morph. So they all have shortcuts. So when you press 1 on your keyboard, it goes to add, 2, it goes to remove, 3 to smooth, 4 to more. And also one really cool thing is that especially when you remove, so you can press Alt while doing it, and it will create this kind of deeper grooves. So when you create an anatomy on your crown, it will, I think it's a very useful tool.
Well, you're even getting secondary grooves in there. So, you know, your design skills are really coming along.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to have more videos on, specifically design of the crowns, but for now, yes, let me stop my design right here. Yeah, so here, this is the sculpting tool. You can always see all the hotkeys right here when you press this question mark button. And so because I don't have occlusion data in my case, I cannot really do adaptation to antagonists, but ideally when you have it, you will see that this function is enabled and you will be able to enter the distance at which all overlapping areas would be cut. And now I click on this icon. So I go to the inner parameter settings. So this was outer parameter settings, and there's inner parameter settings. And you will see that there's this insertion path that I can change. Just like this. So you also need to always remember that when you sculpt your restoration, especially when you do a lot of removing, you actually can create, you're making it thinner. So grid view is really very useful to make sure that it's not too thin, so that, or it's not way too thick, that actually fits on the preparation that you're going to do, and that it won't break during 3D printing or milling. And there's another thing that we can do for it, which I'm going to show you in the temporary module. So here the parameters. So here is again, we have those parameters that we saw in the settings. You can adjust them for this specific case in design mode, while those in the settings, they're applicable to every single case that you create. So when you don't really know what they mean, you can press this question mark and you will see that there's explanation for what is what. Yeah, and just like this, so I'm gonna stick with this design. I press confirm here. And here I am, yes, back to quick mode. Now I press save, and I'm saving my crown to Medit link.
So everything will be accessible right after you've designed it. You just save it to Medit link and it'll be here.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
Yes, and now let's go with the same case and create a temporary crown. So because I already worked in the same case, the program asked me if I want to continue working on the same project. So I'm gonna start a new one. When you have both pre-operation data and prepared data, you will see that you've been automatically taken to temporary crown module and you have the data assigned. Also, just always make sure that you assign the data properly. So in pre-operation, here you have actual pre-operation data, because yeah, we had some cases during beta testing when our users would assign it the other way around, and yeah, obviously crown will not be created in an optimal way. So again, I press confirm, and here I have margin line that was created in Medit Scan for Clinics.
And you mentioned earlier, if they didn't create this in Medit Scan for Clinics, they can go ahead and they'll have the opportunity to create it now. Okay.
Yes.
But it's a little faster maybe doing a Medit Scan for Clinics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't have a margin line, you will be asked also to select the two first, and then a margin line will be created automatically.
Okay, perfect.
So I had my margin line created in Medit Scan for Clinics. So I'm going to go through it again. Here, same quick settings. Here, although you cannot select margin width, but you can do it in the design mode. So yes, I have my margin here. I press next.
Ah, yay, there you go. Well, we can see that we can make it work. you know, Maria? And again,
Yeah,
this is the beauty of live webinars, you know?
definitely. Yeah. So yes, if you have your margin line done correctly, and the program will let you know, obviously, if it's done, if you did it in the wrong way. So yeah, basically, if you have your margin line created, you press next, and you have your crown created right away. And you see that here the context are matched because we used the adapt to adjacent option, so the toggle was on. And yeah, here it is. Again, you can save it to Medit link right away. You can take a look at what it looks like by adjusting the transparency. And yeah, now you can go to design mode to design it a bit more. Again, you can use the sculpting tools to make the crown look pretty. And so here I can, in data tree, I can turn data on and off so I can actually take a better look at the context. This option shows you the contact area. So, and here you can see the color map, which will let you know how close the crown is to the adjacents. So this is the option that allows you to enter a specific value to adapt your restoration to the adjacent. So let's just go ahead and make it even more
You can,
contact.
it looks as though you can actually change that number. So you can be specific as
Right.
to, okay, the distance to the adjacent. Okay.
Yeah. So it shows you where the contacts are. So yes, it looks good now. So here is this another thing that I promised to show you, which is called show height minimum thickness. So as we saw in the settings, there is a parameter which is called minimum thickness. So once you figure out what is the minimum thickness, you can allow your crowns to be not only based on the preparation that you're going to do, but also based on the settings of your milling machine and your 3D printer. So when you design, it shows you if there are any areas that are close to the minimum thickness or exceeded. So here, when I turn it on, I can see right away that the crown in the occlusal area is a bit thin. So what I always say is that if you don't see blue, it's good. So I would go ahead and add a bit more material. So you see that it disappears.
They're just making it a little thicker so you're not dealing with a really thin crown there. Okay.
Exactly. So otherwise it might break. So this is what we don't want to have because it will waste material. So yes, we recommend always having this option on while working with sculpting tools. Also, when you change insertion path, it also might create a very thin area. So always make sure that you check this function before you save your crown to Medit link. But usually, so even if I turn on this function and I go ahead and oh, this is too much. This is too much. So even if I have it like this, when I click confirm, when I try to get out of design mode, the program will let me know that there are areas that are way too thin. So probably I would want to reconsider my design. So if I press confirm, it shows me the areas that need to be worked on a bit more. And yeah, I go ahead and I can smooth the surface, or I can add a bit more material on it.
Perfect. All right. Well, you just might be a designer soon.
Oh,
If you keep this up.
and here it is another function which is called smart adaptation, which is a really useful tool to use when you have occlusion data as well. So you see here that you need to actually input a number. But if you're new to digital design, you probably don't really know exactly which numbers you need to be using yet. So when you have occlusion data, you can utilize this option and it will adapt the crown based on creating minimum contacts with the adjacent teeth and removing any overlapping areas with the antagonists at 0 mm. So of course you can add more design to it, but it's just like the minimum contact, the minimally matched contacts, I would say, that you can create utilizing this function. And when you understand a bit more how the distance works and all of that, you can actually go ahead and use the actual numbers to match the contacts.
Perfect.
And again, we go here to see the inner surface parameters, because in this case, we already have a prepared tooth. We know a lot of things about how the inner surface should be made. So when it comes to a temporary crown, the parameters that can be adjusted here is the thickness of the cement layer. In quick mode, it will be created, we would give 0.1 mm of cement layer, and you can adjust it here to 0.2 mm, which again, you can see creates areas that are really thin, or you can get rid of the cement layer altogether, and you see that those areas disappear. And again, we can adjust margin width here. So it just became a little bit thicker. So I would also suggest looking into your 3D print or milling machine settings, because in some cases when margin line is too thin, it might break a little bit. So just a really good thing to always understand that design and milling and printing, they go hand in hand, and it's all really just connected.
I think you bring up a really good point, though, is, prior to, doing this with the patient in the chair and, all that, is to test your settings, make sure everything's set correctly so you don't have to deal with anything on the tail end if there's, if you wanted adjustments. It's good to just kind of test everything in the beginning, get your parameters set.
Yeah. And as usual here, you can press this question mark and you'll see what each parameter means. And there is also this one, which is not in the design mode. It's a point where your cement thickness layer actually starts, so you can adjust it in the program settings. So I think I'm all done here. I press confirm. I get transferred back to quick mode. And if everything is correct, I go ahead and I click on the complete button. But before, let me show you again, these are the settings. So they're a bit different for eggshell module and for temporary module. Again, you saw that I put smoothing up to the maximum point. So you just saw that actually this inner surface was very smooth. So it will be probably really good for most of milling machines. And here's the starting point of the cement layer that I just mentioned. So it's always adjustable right here. And all of these parameters, they only apply to the quick mode. And these are the parameters that will be used by default for all cases. And again, for each specific case, you can adjust those parameters in design mode, so you don't have to go back and forth and change settings all the time. So if this case is a little bit different because maybe you're using a milling machine, not a 3D printer today, just make sure that this specific case is different, but you don't have to go ahead and change all the program settings.
Perfect. So you can basically leave your default as is and then just make adjustments as you're doing particular cases.
Exactly. So I am saving my case to Medit link. And I have two of my crowns here.
Well, this is exciting. Moment of truth. Oh, there you go.
And so here's the same model that we just made a crown for. This was a prepared tooth. And this is actually a crown that I milled. Here it is.
Very nice. Wow, this is really exciting.
Yeah, now it's actually, personally, it's amazing for me that I can print out a model in Model Builder, and then I can print a crown and put it in that model. So it's just, yes, because, digital scanning is scanning. It's something that is inside your monitor. So it's not something that you can actually see or, hold in your hands, right? And this is really exciting. Having Model Builder and Temporaries together is just, it's just
kind of taking
really
it full circle. That's really, really exciting. You guys, I know you've been so busy. Very cool. Maria's first crown, probably not her first one. I'm guessing that you've done many of these, but awesome.
Yes, yes, a lot of 3D printing testing, milling testing, and right now we're working with some of the major names in 3D printing. So we're constantly testing the results that are coming out from Medit Model Builder and from Medit Temporaries. So we know that there are no issues that can happen with our users, like mutual users that are using this 3D printer, this specific 3D printer, and that are using Medit Temporaries. So we're gonna post a list of the 3D printers with which we conducted 3D printing testing. So even if your print is not on the list, it doesn't mean that anything could go wrong, but it's just that it takes us some time to reach out to all the major companies in the business. But yeah, so far, with all the 3D printing testing that I've done and milling again, so far it's been great.
That's
So
really, really neat. And I love that all the testing that's going into this. And I think that's, always a good thing, an amazing thing about Medit is the extensive testing and planning that happens to release something like this, You guys, again, I always say I don't think you guys get enough sleep there, but we're grateful for what you and the team do.
yes, especially yeah, not me, but mostly our developers, amazing team that yeah go an extra mile to create automatic testing and all of that to just make sure that a crown that goes inside a patient's mouth, that it's something that our users can trust. So yeah, hopefully
Brilliant.
you enjoy using this app.
Well, that was really awesome. That was probably our longest webinar. There's a lot of information to cover, a lot of new stuff coming. Really excited. So, Maria, as always, thank you. Again, I always just like to mention that, this is early morning for Maria in Korea, and here, mountain time for me, it's evening. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate all the developers and the efforts they put into this. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to again remind everybody that the webinar has been recorded, and look at that beautiful crown right there. There you go.
Sorry, I cannot get enough.
Yeah, yeah. She's enjoying, admiring her work now. So I do think we've got a lab technician, you know, coming up in you somewhere.
Definitely.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Maria. We'll see you next time. Full list of new webinars will be listed on Facebook as always, and we look forward to everybody joining. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.